For decades, society has preached a single path to financial security. Get an education. Find a stable job. Save diligently. Invest in retirement accounts. One day, at 65, finally enjoy life. At first glance, it makes sense. Work hard, be responsible, and eventually, you'll be rewarded. But what if this entire approach is flawed? What if, instead of security, it leads to decades of stress, missed opportunities, and a future that never arrives? Let's break down why the work, save, and retire model is one of the biggest financial traps ever created, and what you should do instead. The hidden flaws in traditional wealth advice. Most people follow financial rules that seem logical, until you examine the long-term consequences. These rules are often sold as universal truths, but they fail to account for individual circumstances, changing markets, and human nature. Here are the biggest myths that keep people stuck in a cycle of waiting instead of living. Eliminate debt before anything else. The mainstream financial world teaches people to fear debt like a disease. They say, pay off your student loans before investing. Never borrow money for anything other than a home. Avoid credit at all costs. But here's the reality. Debt isn't the enemy. It's a tool. Used wisely, it can accelerate wealth creation. Misused, it becomes a burden. Example: Person A versus Person B. I imagine two college graduates, both carrying $50,000 in student loan debt. Person A spends 5 years aggressively paying off their loans. During that time, they don't invest, start a business, or build any new skills. By the end of those 5 years, they're debt-free, but still earning the same salary they started with. Their net worth remains stagnant. Person B keeps their loan payments low and instead spends those 5 years building an online business. Maybe they launch a side hustle selling digital products, coaching services, or e-commerce goods. Within 3 years, their business generates 6 figures annually. Even though they still carry some manageable debt, their income far exceeds their expenses. One person becomes debt-free but income-limited. The other becomes financially free while still having manageable debt. Which path is smarter? The key isn't avoiding debt, it's leveraging money to create more money. Debt can fund growth, whether through starting a business, acquiring rental properties, or pursuing high-return investments. The trick is knowing how to use it strategically. Work. More hours to earn more money. Society glorifies hard work. People believe that if they put in more hours, they'll eventually earn more and get ahead. But here's the trap. Your time is limited. Trading hours for dollars caps your earning potential. Case study: the doctor versus the entrepreneur. Consider two professionals making similar incomes but using vastly different strategies. A doctor earns $200,000 per year but works 80-hour weeks. Despite the impressive paycheck, they have little time for family, hobbies, or personal development. If they stop working, their income stops too. An entrepreneur builds an automated, online business. After initial effort, their platform generates passive income. Whether it's selling courses, creating subscription-based content, or managing rental properties, their earnings continue regardless of how many hours they work. Now imagine these individuals 10 years later. The doctor may still be grinding away, exhausted and dependent on their job for survival. Meanwhile, the entrepreneur enjoys flexibility, freedom, and growing wealth without sacrificing their health or happiness. Real wealth isn't about how much you work. It's about how much your money works for you. Save every penny and live below your means. For years, financial advisors have promoted extreme frugality. Skip your daily coffee. Buy the cheapest car possible. Live like you're broke so one day you won't be. But here's the truth. No one becomes wealthy by saving alone. Saving is important, but if all your energy goes into cutting expenses instead of increasing income, you're playing the wrong game. Example: 2 approaches to building wealth. One person saves $500 a month for 40 years and ends up with $1.2 million. Sounds impressive, right? Except, after inflation, taxes, and rising healthcare costs, that million might not stretch as far as expected. Plus, they've spent 4 decades scrimping and sacrificing, delaying gratification indefinitely. Another person focuses on scaling up. Instead of obsessing over small expenses, they invest in learning high-income skills, launching businesses, or acquiring cash-flowing assets. Within 5 years, they've built an income stream that generates $1.2 million or more in annual revenue. Would you rather scrape by for 40 years or build wealth faster? Instead of focusing only on cutting back, start focusing on scaling up. Frugality has its place, but it shouldn't come at the expense of ambition and opportunity. Rely on the stock market and retirement accounts. Most people believe their 401k and investments will take care of them in retirement. But let's look at the numbers. If you invest $500 per month with an average return of 7%, after 40 years, you'll have around $1.2 million. Sounds good, right? Except, after inflation, taxes, and medical costs, that million might not be enough to live the life you want. And what if something goes wrong? A market crash wipes out 30% of your retirement savings. Suddenly, your carefully planned future feels uncertain. You get laid off and have to dip into your investments. Penalties and taxes eat away at your nest egg. You don't even live long enough to enjoy your money. All those years of sacrifice feel wasted. This plan is slow, risky, and completely out of your control. Wealth isn't about hoping. The stock market works out. It's about creating money on your terms. What's the alternative? Control over your financial future. Instead of waiting 40 years to enjoy life, build wealth in a way that gives you control. Here's how. 1. Create multiple income streams. A job pays you once per hour worked. A business, digital product, or real estate investment pays you over and over again. Start creating income sources that don't require your constant time. For example, launch an Etsy shop selling handmade crafts or printables. Rent out a spare room on Airbnb. Develop an app or software solution that solves a common problem. Each additional stream reduces reliance on a single source of income and increases financial resilience. Use money as a growth tool. Instead of spending 5 years paying off loans, spend those years learning high-income skills or starting a business. Instead of saving for a retirement that's 40 years away, invest in assets that can pay you in the next 5 to 10 years. For instance, consider buying rental properties that generate monthly cash flow or investing in dividend-paying stocks that provide regular payouts. Focus on cash flow, not just savings. A $1 million retirement account won't help if you don't have steady cash flow. Instead of waiting for a big retirement number, build assets that provide income today. Cash flow ensures you're not dependent on liquidating assets to cover expenses. Whether it's rental income, royalties from creative works, or profits from a side hustle, prioritize streams that keep money flowing into your pocket consistently. Your choice. Wait for wealth. Or build it now. You have 2 options. Follow the traditional path. Work hard, save, invest in retirement, and hope it works out 40 years from now. Take control of your financial future. Build multiple income streams, invest in cash-flowing assets, and create wealth on your timeline. One path is slow, risky, and full of sacrifices. The other is faster, more controlled, and gives you freedom while you're still young. The crossroads picture. 2 friends sitting at a cafe, discussing their futures. Friend number 1 sighs, "I'm so tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I just need to stick it out until retirement. Then I'll finally relax." Friend number 2 nods thoughtfully. "Yeah, I used to think the same way. But then I realized I was wasting my best years waiting for a future that might never come. So I started freelancing. On weekends, invested in rental properties, and launched a side business. Now I'm closer to financial independence, and I get to live fully right now." Friend number 1 scoffs, That sounds risky. What if it doesn't work? Friend your two smiles knowingly. What if it does? Look, staying stuck is its own kind of risk. At least this way, I'm taking steps toward freedom instead of waiting for permission to live. Which friend would you rather be? Take back your life. Life is unpredictable. Waiting for retirement to start living is like gambling with your happiness, and the odds aren't in your favor. The wealthy understand this principle intuitively. You don't wait for permission to win. You create your own wins. By rejecting the traditional work, save, and retire model, you reclaim control. You stop sacrificing today for a hypothetical tomorrow. You start designing a life that aligns with your values, passions, and aspirations. So, rewrite the script. Build wealth on your terms. Live boldly, intentionally, and freely. Because in the end, the greatest scam isn't losing money, it's losing time. Don't let them take yours.